So we have Gabriel was born in Sao Paulo in Brazil in 1996. After moving to the United States in 2013 to complete his high school and bachelor's degree, Gabriel relocated to London in the UK, where he currently resides and is completing a master's from Goldsmiths University in creative writing and education. His first original poetry and short story collection, entitled Inner Worlds, is set to publish in 2021, one which he compiled throughout the span of his academic life. The author is also deeply invested in social work and acts as a volunteer for the Reader organisation based in Liverpool. Besides his literary ventures, Gabriel enjoys topics relating to sports, health and wellness, music, and is an advocate for mental health. So that's amazing. And you're going to talk about The Forbidden. Really exciting.
Yeah. Thank you, Matilda. Thank you.
Okay, I will just ask everyone else to switch their cameras off so that we can see Gabe, and I'm going to start. Gabe, just tell me when you want me to start sharing the screen.
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, cool. And we'll just go to the slideshow, and we need to switch. That's the full slide you can see now, yeah?
Yes, thank you so much.
Cool.
Yeah, so thank you so much, everyone, for the support, and it's been really great to see just everyone presenting and then showing their amazing work that they've done in this anthology. Really fascinating, and I'd encourage anyone who hasn't gotten the book yet to go and get it, because it's truly is amazing, and I'm there, everyone's there who's participated. So yeah. So next slide. So I want to start off with a quote by the Dalai Lama here, which is a very inspirational person for many people, but I think for me particularly, with my ties to, I think, liking Buddhism and meditation and mindfulness, which I'm going to touch on a little bit later on, but just going to read the quote here for you. Just as ripples spread out when a single pebble is dropped into water, the actions of individuals can have far-reaching effects. And so I want to start cultivating this idea when you're writing a story about the effects that a certain action can have on the rest of the story. And not only that, how a certain forbidden act, whether that be a crime or a love affair or anything like that, can have a consequence on the events that go throughout the story. And so I can remember also, this idea that Dalai Lama puts here is very present, has been present throughout the history of mankind. And I can remember now with World War I, with the assassination. I think it was Franz Ferdinand. Correct me if I'm wrong, but just that forbidden act led into what we now call as World War I. So it's really about these acts having such an impact and being almost like a domino effect for things to happen later on. So next slide, please. So I'm going to read a little excerpt from the short story here, and yeah, I'm just going to read it, a very small piece. And this is actually a short story. I like to call it that way because it is short, but I think it's tightly packed and has a lot in it. So here we go. I lean over and kiss her. I kiss her repeatedly, passionately, as if we were lovers that had been drawn apart for an eternity. It was like our stories had brought us here, to this hideous party, to this room, to this kiss. Suddenly, I feel a rush of uncertainty from her. Well, what about Helen? Aren't you afraid of what might happen? I don't care about Helen. I care about you, Faith. I care about this moment, I reply, clearly. So this is like I said, a little piece, and this story was mainly inspired by a love triangle between three characters, and the two characters here, Faith and then the male character Joe. Joe's actually married to someone else, and he's having feelings about Helen, who's in this scene. She's out and away from a party that's happening in somewhere in a setting, and then she's playing the piano, and Joe comes up to her, and they have this sort of tender moment of that of lovers being reunited. So again, talking about this forbidden act of a love affair and a love triangle was really something that I wanted to explore, and someone like Joe, do something forbidden and not sticking to his marriage, but wanting to have an affair with Helen. So next slide, please. So I think writing about something forbidden or having that as the climax or the center of your story is a great narrative catalyst. And I think that, whenever you have forbidden acts that happen in a story, they're generating conflict, and conflict usually generates movement, and movement usually leads into a story or a plot. So you can see there's a very continual linear progression there that is really helpful when you're writing any type of story, really. And you can really explore a variety of different topics with this. They can range from love, lust, power, religion, spirituality, death, crime, mystery. I mean, it really, really keeps the reader engaged. And there's so many, it's so broad, and you can explore a lot of areas. I myself have explored a lot of areas surrounding relationships, love affairs, as you can tell from the story, but also, things relating to religion and sinning and things like that. So yeah, definitely a great catalyst, if you will. Next slide, please. So I want to engage a little bit of your memory now, and because I draw heavily from other types of artwork, I want you to, perhaps put in the chat or just think about if someone can recall an artwork that can be a song or movie, book, poem that's centered around a forbidden act. And this can be like, a murder, perhaps a song about a murder, a movie about a murder, a movie about a secret love affair, a poem about someone sinning. If anyone has any ideas, I'd love to hear from you guys now. Yeah, pop in the chat. I think we've been using that a lot lately.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously have to say the Garden of Eden is fairly fundamental to the forbiddenness, to the apple.
Definitely, Francis. There's a comment here. Glory to Saturn devouring his son. Yeah. Incestin, Mentels, bring up the bodies. Yeah, Sam. Trying to remember film title. Death of Chatterton. Yeah. Great. Yeah, there you go. So there's a lot of things that you can, a lot of artwork, different types of creativity that have focused on this idea. Thanks everyone for the comments. I'm just looking at the time. Okay, 11:40. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I think, Francis, it was a great transition to talking about just some inspiration for my writing. And here we have Adam eating the apple, which was painted in 1786 by Parmigianino. And this idea that the quintessential forbidden act, right? Adam eating the apple, which is a painting. Next slide, please. The movie Damage, which is another great inspiration. I absolutely love this movie. It was written by Louis Malle, featuring Jeremy Irons and Juliette Binoche. And Jeremy Irons is a culprit on this one because he's having a love affair with the woman Juliette. But it's another great piece of art movie. Next slide, please. A band I really like, progressive rock and metal band called Dream Theater, and their album Metropolis Part Two, Scenes from a Memory. And the album is inspired at the start, or not inspired by, but it's driven by a murder that happens at the beginning, and it's a concept album that goes along. The songs go along and tell the sort of behind the scenes of what happened in this murder. Yeah. Next slide, please. And Agatha, I mean, you guys probably know this one, Murder on the Orient Express, very famous novel by Agatha Christie, which uses, murder, which is another very sort of basic forbidden act. Yeah. So these are all my inspirations, and I think it's always good to think about them when you're doing any sort of art, writing, painting, producing a song. I think it's always good to draw inspiration from other places. Yeah. Next slide, please. I think now we're gonna do a little, exercise, some free writing for I think about, let's say, 11:42. Let's just say 8 minutes. And if you guys don't know, free writing is just basically writing and not stopping for anything. And you can write anything that's on your mind. But I do want you to first to list 10 things that you can remember of something you did you shouldn't have, or just 10 forbidden acts that you can think of, and then select one of those things in your list to talk about in your exercise. And I think the important thing to focus here is on the emotion of doing the forbidden act, right? You want that to drive the narrative, and also focusing on the images, sensations, perhaps what different characters' relationships are to the person that committed the forbidden act, or the relationships between the forbidden act and the people in the story. So yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, and so just compile your list and then free write. I said 10 minutes here, and I've been talking. So actually, yeah, 8 minutes is good, and it might be, like Matilda said, daunting to do this, but I think that just starting from picking a forbidden act and then just writing about it, and focusing on the details. And also, I want to stress, don't forget to breathe while you're writing. So yeah, so do the exercise now. Oh yeah, the writing can be on the chat, definitely. If you want to write something with a pen and then share it, or actually, yeah, writing on a computer is easier, but you can share it on the chat, definitely. Be interested to see what comes up. Okay. Yeah, I'd say just about a couple minutes left. Just to finish up. Maybe try to think of your ending. I think it's important as well. Yeah, there's some thanks everyone. Yeah, I think you can stop writing now. It's there's there's some great stuff here. I'm just reading. I really like the story about the the cheerleader, Nicole's standing in the bathroom stall, shaking, unfolding a crumpled piece of paper. I heard all the math formulas. Yeah. Wow, guys. And there's a big one here. Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, so thank you so much for that. Holly, great. Oh, Bernie, great. Yeah. Um, thank you so much. Yeah, next slide, please. That was wonderful, and you can see that. Oh yeah. Anything you want to share? You guys did. Next slide. But as you can see, there's so much that you can talk about when you're focusing on forbidden act and uh, survivor. And even if you don't have the, it's something that children. It's something that grown up adults can do. Anyone can do it. So yeah. And just to finish off, um, I wasn't sure to stop and hoped I wouldn't bump this. I like the story. I got lost. It was raining heavily by the time I got to the door. I was wet and I was disappointed by this drowned rat. I followed this trip. Very nice. Yeah, so just some things to keep in mind when you're writing this type of story. Just to leave you with some tips. I think it's very easy to get lost in the narrative when you have such a defining moment that sets the stage for what next. So I would say just it's important to focus on as well on each character and what they feel in relation to this act, rather than writing too much about the act itself, because you want the story to evolve, you want the story to go places. And I think Matilda said something as well about imagining the world, imagining where the character is going to be in the next day or the next morning. What does he do? Just developing the story more instead of having the moment and focusing too much on it. That's one thing. Second thing is taking inspiration from different types of art. I think it's so good to be a well-rounded artist. Listening to, if you're a musician, you have to listen to all different types of genres. If you're a writer, you have to to get to surround yourself with all types of literature and different types of writing. So, just keeping an open mind to different forms of creativity. Memory also is very crucial and can be utilized as a form of a writing catalyst. If you, for example, if you remember something you did when you were a kid that was forbidden, you could definitely write about that. So memory recall, and something that I did earlier can be used to your advantage. Mindfulness, yeah, mindfulness is a great writing strategy and something I do quite often. Just closing your eyes and breathing for 5 minutes or so before the free writing session. I think is really important, and during the session as well. And so by making your exhales longer than your inhales, you can calm yourself down and your ideas will flow easier, and you'll just be able to create a more uh, a better story, I think, than if you weren't meditating at all or using mindfulness. So that's something I use a lot, and that I encourage every writer to do. Um, adjectives, similes, metaphors, the whole gang. I just put this here just to, just make sure you enrich and liven your story up with, enrich your story, liven your story up with metaphors, adjectives, words that you can use to connect things, connect characters, connect events. I think that's something I use a lot and something that has helped me. And finally, 4 minutes left. Yeah, ending, right, guys? I think the ending is really important. So what's going to happen with your forbidden story? Should you leave it up to interpretation? Should it be a dark ending? Should it be a happy ending? Should it be a fairy tale ending? Choice is really yours. So think about that. Think about the end. I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. So yeah, next slide. It's not much. I think that's it. Thank you so much for listening to all the other participants, and I'll open up space for some questions now. See how much time we have. 3 minutes.
3 minutes. That was some great stuff, Gabe. Really interesting. If we have any questions, you can pop them in the chat and I'll read them out.
And great.
I had a question, Gabe.
Yes.
Oh, maybe someone else has. Oh, yes. Nicole's got a question. Sorry. How did you come up with the idea to discuss the forbidden?
Yeah, right. Well, you saw the painting by Parmigianino, and that's like I said, the quintessential forbidden act. And I was thinking about that, and I was reading some things about, the story of Adam and Eve as well, and how they were with each other in the whole religious scene and everything. And I just started, thinking about doing something forbidden and what that entails. And I think we can carry that a lot to our lives as well, and to the world, with a lot of things that happen on a daily basis. You may do something that, or, people doing something that they're not supposed to. And can't necessarily be a bad thing. It can be a good thing. I mean, you do something, you're just sneaking out for a cake in the middle of the night, and your mother catches you in the act. I mean, sneaking out for a cake, it's a great thing. I love cakes. But it's just, I think there's a lot in there. There's a lot of energy in there that can be dissolved and can be talked about in the form of writing. So, yeah.
We have a question from Bernie. Could the forbidden act be an omission to act/react?
Could the forbidden act be an omission to act, react? Good question. Yes, I think so. Yeah, someone could not act in, I guess that's what Bernie's trying to say, or yes, I think when you have something forbidden and you don't want to do it, I think that could also be an opportunity. And I think it takes a certain type of person to commit a forbidden act, right? I think we need to think about that as well. But yeah, great question. I hadn't actually thought about that side of the equation. But yeah, definitely, that's a good thing to think about as well. Thank you for the question. So great.
Yeah, we're actually to time now because I do want people to get a proper break and before Kirsty and Gail's great session. Thank you so much for this, Gabe. Matilda, do you want to add anything as hosting the meeting? Any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I thought it was great, and there's a lot of great questions that comes out of it when you use something like the forbidden. Yeah, like Bernie just said, thought-provoking. I think that's a good word to end on. I think you definitely create a lot of thoughts with your session. I think it's really great. Thank you.
And I was also thinking a link to your session, Matilda. I think the forbidden is very prevalent in fantasy, isn't it? Where you have these sort of forbidden things that have to be attained. I can think of Lord of the Rings and, you know, everything that's forbidden there. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Great to do something not allowed. Yeah, I found that it was quite challenging. Some stuff I really would not prefer not to share, obviously, but thank you for not forcing us to do that. Okay, so we will see you at 1 o'clock for Gail and Kirsty's wonderful session. I should say that you know, I've just seen the sneak preview of the Inspire anthology. We've got some nice from the Norway Writing and Education magazine. It's not published yet, but there's lots of nice things said in a review of it there, and Kirsty and Gail's session essay in particular is noted as being a special essay, as all the essays are in the anthology, because we're non-hierarchical and democratic here, aren't we? Anyway, thank you so much, Gabe, and we'll see you at 1. Have a lovely break and lunch.
Cheers. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.